April, and they are approved. We have a treasurer's report, and before we get to that, Ms. Lena has been leading this for quite some time, and we thank you for your service. It's really appreciated. It's a great service that you provide.
How many years has it been, Lena?
5,
Yeah,
something like that.
that's great.
I can't remember. Now it's just easy because it's.
More than 5.
I think it's
Yeah, I
been
think
more
it's
than
been more
time.
than 5.
I don't know. We'd have to go back and look.
Were you treasurer when we came down to your place? Because that's been a while ago.
That's been a while. I can't remember if I was that. It might have been that year. It might have been right after that year. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
Good for you.
So. Treasurer's report. The credit card, the Cheddar app still works great and everything like that, but they did increase their processing charges from $1.50 to $1.64. So,
Oh, darn.
just so you're aware of that. The last meeting we had, our balance was $2,087.27. We had a fabulous end of the year celebration social at Las Delicias. That was $269.10. We have deposited $180 in due so far this year, and the current balance is $1,998.17. Schools that have paid: PDS, Lakeland, Crosstown High, Rossville, Harding, and Gray St. Luke's. And I did get MUS's check as I walked in, so. If you think that you submitted something, or if you submitted something after yesterday morning, I'll get that updated. So, we've had a little bit of a crazy week. We're celebrating 75 years, so we've had Spirit Week all week.
That's good. That's good. Hey, Arthur, there's some new people in here that I think some people might not know. Maybe we might want to do introductions.
Okay.
Because I mean, I got this, Corey's new here. Is Zach still back there? Okay, well, I was.
No, he-
Okay, well,
just do
let's start with you,
John
Mr. Sidney.
Simi, I'm the tech director here at MUS. I'm in my 8th year. It's hard to believe, isn't it? I've been here that long. Anyway, we're glad you're here. I second Pete's welcome. And kudos to Arthur, his first meeting of the year. And as he said, if you want to quick walk around afterwards, I know Scott had not been, and I think Vicki said she had not been in the building before. So we'll be glad to, give you a quick nickel tour. We have, it'll be fun to see. Maybe it'll still be going on when we're done. We've got about 20 plus colleges on campus today for a big college fair for our upper school boys. So it'd be fun to walk around if you haven't seen us before. New to MUS since January. A lot of you remember Raina. This is the new Raina.
Hi all, I'm Corey Phillips. Like John said, I've been here since January. Still, for the most part, I think I've got my lay of the land at this point. But it's fun trying to, get used to it. Before this, I was at Rhodes College for about 8 years. And then at Ole Miss before that.
Miss Vicky.
Hi, I'm Vicki Torres. I think this is my 3rd year being here. They wrote me into being secretary, so I'm doing my best over here. But I'm from St. Francis, and it's good to see everyone.
Hi folks, I'm Zach Davis. I'm the new technical specialist here. I've been here since March, and I come from a long list of AV companies, so if you need help when you need, call IT.
You might have seen him at your school. He used to work for CTI for a lot of years. And so he did a lot of your installs. So, twist my arm when he came up from there. So.
And also, Mr. Zach is responsible for the streaming today,
Yeah.
the graphics, and all of the sound setup. So, thank you, Mr. Zach. Fantastic job.
All right, I'm Lynn Williams. I'm the Director of Instructional Technology at Briarcrest. And I've been there, how many years? Like 16 years. And I was in the midst of that at Collegiate School of Memphis for a year, and I taught for the Memphis City Schools with Scott for 12 years, and taught at another private school for a year, and was a missionary for 2 years before that. So there you go.
Are you still doing your accreditation stuff?
We are all accredited.
Yay! I was gonna say the same thing for years, but
They said we were crazy to do all those accreditations, and we're exemplary accredited with ACSI.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
What is
Yeah, it's a very, very
ACSI?
big deal.
Association of
Christians, well, no, it's AC. all
Whatever
those
it is.
things. Yeah, Association of Christian Schools. Yeah, international. So, yeah.
Great.
Anyway, it was a lot.
Good. I'm glad.
Glad it's over. Another 5 years.
That's what we're doing now. This is our year to go through accreditation, so. Yeah. But I'm Kathy Peterman. I'm from First Assembly Christian School. I've been in this role for about 8 years as well. I've been here for 3 years or so? So I'm really fortunate to have you guys.
I'm Whitney Miller. I'm from Hutchinson, next door. I'm their academic tech director. And I've been there. Before that, I was 7 years in Memphis City Schools.
And she's attended this meeting twice.
Yeah, I have. I was here last week just waiting on you. Hey, it got me an extra, I didn't have to go to school till a little later. So there you go.
I'm Jamie Barber. I'm at Harding Academy. I'm the new Jane Manus. I was at Harding, 20 years ago. I was the computer teacher then. Then I stayed home with my kids, and then I taught for Shelby County Schools. And now I'm back at Harding and loving it. Glad to be there.
Now I understand she's doing something at like the lower childhood place. or
Yeah,
something.
she's like the welcome person at our little Harding.
Yeah. That's great.
Great.
Hard. Well, I'm Scott Holcomb. I'm the Director of Technology and Principal of Record this year for Crosstown High. Our Executive Director is on a 10-month, 22-country tour of the world, listening to and visiting innovative schools and kind of telling people what we do and what the rest of the world is doing for innovating education. This is my, I think, 5th year in public education. I spent a lot of time with the city schools, and then we became Shelby County Schools. I'm still pseudo-connected. I pulled the strings and popped out of our regular public education into our public charter in 2018, and when we built out Crosstown High School. So,
Scott and I we actually were on the same team for 6 weeks.
yeah, exactly.
Post-merger.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
I'm Lena Collins, and I'm at Sacred Heart School. I'm the computer instructor there. This is my 17th year to be active with MAIS TEC. I don't remember how long I've been treasurer.
Good.
We're gonna have to go back.
This is your
and look.
first year.
Yeah, thanks for volunteering.
Fantastic. We're just introducing, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
One of those Friday mornings,
I know.
I did. So I'm Melissa Smith. I am at Presbyterian Day School. My coffee is still working. And then this is Jenny Stenberg. So she's new on my team this year, but she is part tech and part librarian. Probably, and since this is her first year in the library, she's kind of focusing more on the library, but she is going to support 4th, 5th, and 6th with resources and that kind of teacher support, since the kids are so grown and mature on their own, right? It's my 4th grade.
Fantastic.
And so Wendy, our librarian, we
Yes.
talked about that yesterday.
Yes, we did.
She teaches till 9:30, and
Yes.
she's actually going to come in here at 9:30. So, yeah.
Okay, great.
And this is how the library positions are evolving. They're becoming more and more tech heavy, and that may be a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm glad that you're, taking on that responsibility and
Well, she came from St. Mary's, and you taught,
5th and 6th grade English.
yeah, and then she was at PDS for in the 4th grade ELA. So she has applied many hats.
fantastic.
That's great.
Great. So we have some new business to discuss, and that is the first item is the evaluation of this ALS camera that we're utilizing today. And just to give you a sneak peek for those that are not familiar with how the ALS cameras work, these 360 cameras, this is what our folks that are remote are seeing. And the camera focuses on whoever is speaking, no matter where you are in the room. And also notices certain movements that people make. And I think it would be a great addition for MAIS TEC to acquire this so that we can stream live all of our events and have a digital record that lives on forever on YouTube. And wouldn't it be incredible if we had video of our first MAIS TEC meeting back in the 90s?
Oh, yeah, sure.
All those people that led us to where we are today, if we had a digital record. I think this could be a start for us. And so in the evaluation process, I will send out a survey at some point asking if you all like the performance, if you think that it's a good idea, and if we get a positive response. Mr. Simi has graciously allowed us to have, what is it, an 80% discount on this? On this camera that retailed for, I believe, $1,000, and letting us have it for $300. And if anybody wants to squeeze his arm for more discount, you can. But we'll have the survey, and I'll announce the results of that and see if this is a good fit for us.
Arthur, can you tell how many are on the stream? Can you tell who's watching or how many are watching?
Mr. Zach, do we have statistics?
Can you tell who's watching it?
I can't tell who's watching it.
How many?
How many
That's
are
good.
watching?
That's good.
Currently, we have 5 interviews.
Okay, very good.
We need virtual attendance.
Yeah.
Wanda just sent an email and said anyone on email at the meeting, the live stream is quite blurry.
Quite.
So when we
blurry.
use our owls, we lock, I mean, I know that it's,
It makes you jerk.
it just keeps on changing around, so we've always, like, we turn off the 360, but I like the 360 in this one.
Yeah.
But you might wanna,
I think it's the light, the brightness of the lighting. Look how light it is on the wall against the
Yeah.
wall. Let me see if we can adjust.
or your camera just needs to be.
So we tried all those buttons, and that's as lit as it gets for us. So this is a good trial and error, first attempt.
I think it's also inherent, we used 3 of them, and we went with the first original one when they came out with it, was the black unit, and then they came out with the Pro models. So they went from 720p to 1080p.
Right.
And now they have a new one, but they haven't bumped it to a 2K or 4K. All they did was add some extra accessories. so you have
Microphone
more
stuff,
microphones and stuff like that. But it's always been its hindrance that it's just peripherally just blurry. Like when you buy 360 cameras, up front looks great, but when you start zooming into the rear of it, what's in the it's always going to be blurry. So maybe on the iteration a year from now, it'll be a 2K version, 4K version.
We'll let you buy those and test them.
Thanks, Crosstown.
Yeah.
But we use it for parent meeting, board meetings, in the classroom. It's a quick run in, throw up. But I mean, yeah, we love it.
So you're still streaming all y'all's events?
No,
Okay.
we've been recording it in YouTube now.
Okay.
So we have a lot of videos in YouTube. It was just much easier to, we do the live stream, but then we record it you know, the people, the parents who didn't get
Yeah.
a chance to. But yeah, that YouTube presence has been a big plus for us.
So we have a young man out on, he's a freshman or sophomore, but he's out, it's a cancer patient, and he's out probably for the year, and but he still is, you know, can attend classes when he's not in a treatment period. And so all of his teachers, we went and put one of these in all their classes, and they just send him a Teams invite and hook it up on the days that they know he's going to be there. And it just sits in the corner of their room, and they just go on with class, and he participates if he can. So we're going to keep several of them just kind of for that purpose, but we don't need as many as we bought during COVID. So Melissa has, so if you'd like to buy
Yes, we've
some,
got.
she's got some at PDS too.
We got the plethora.
Yeah, did y'all buy one per class?
I don't remember, gosh, I think in the elementary,
Yeah, we had about 13 or so. We're down to like maybe 10 or whatever, and we're going to keep some. But when Arthur brought this idea up, I said, you know, if MAIS TEC would like to buy it, we'll sell it for a reduced rate, because I mean, it is a good tool.
Yeah, it's got a great microphone.
Yo, the mic's great.
Hey Wanda, how's the sound?
I don't think she's interactive.
I mean, she'll text back.
but she'll, yeah.
Yeah.
She was commenting on the YouTube.
Comment, yeah.
But the mic to me is one of the big selling points, because, you know, in a big room like this, you can just speak normally and they can hear, and you can hear them speak. Our board uses them.
Sounds great.
So we do all of our board meetings, and we're undergoing, as Mr. Sanders said, we're in the second year of our strategic plan, and we're about to announce a capital campaign. And so they've been meeting, they've had like 2 meetings a week since May. All these different committees meeting on all this to get it ready to roll out. And so they've been using that because a lot of the members are out of town. Alumni and whoever that are on these committees. So it's very helpful.
Fantastic. We have another item to discuss, and that is the April 14th meeting. We don't have much to discuss because Ms. Lena has already volunteered for,
Lena.
I'm sorry, not Ms. Lena. Ms. Lynn has already volunteered to host the 14th meeting, April 14th. Thank you very much. Looking forward to going to Briarcrest. It's been a while since we've been there.
I guess pre-COVID.
Yeah.
We'll get to St. Mary's eventually. I mean, you know, we've not seen, Justin's been promising us a tour of that new building since COVID, and that we were scheduled to meet there, I think that April, to tour his new building, and we'll get there at some point.
Yeah, and we're still thinking about you, Justin, and you guys at St. Mary's. Hang in there. Right, so now we are in the round table discussion portion of our meeting, and we have several topics to discuss. First one will be esports, and we have a special contributor. I love saying this, Mr. Principal Scott Holcomb says a special contributor to our esports conversation. Scott, do you have an update of what you guys are doing with esports? Any news?
When I came and talked the last time about esports, we'd already put maybe a year into our esports presence at Crosstown High. We had a lot of great traction. We had Grizz Gaming come out and invite us over to how the professional folks do it in esports. And our students got really excited about that. And then Little Rock in Arkansas, their university called us and said, we want to bring your kids out to show them what college esports looks like and how we train and what our competitions. We just couldn't do because it was too short of a time frame to get transportation for our students to get there. We had a girl team captain, and I know that sounds weird, but it was a big accomplishment because wooing girls, and I know, who is it here, has a girls team? Is it Hutchison that has it? Yeah, right there. So girls team, we're still trying to get that going.
Don't worry about that.
Right.
It has some interest.
we had a good year and a half. We've always been with HSEL, and I think that's something offline if you all want to talk to me about. I think HSEL has a great mix of listening to K-12 and looking at curriculum versus just esports. To the point where they're rebranding it internally, calling it more of a scholastic gaming. Because, you know, they understand that K-12, you're not going to win K-12 buy-in for esports by talking about it as a professional, or even honestly right now, harping on scholarship money. I don't even think that's a big driving point anymore, because schools look at the cost of a gaming rig and they're like, yeah, that sounds great, but you know, we have quite a few students who get scholarships on the academic side. You know, is our investment in hardware, you know, going to yield some scholarship return? I know it does, but I think the bigger picture is integrating esports into curriculum, into courses, into CTE, into STEM courses, and making it a course, and a byproduct of that course is an actual gaming league, which is esports. And that happens after school, and just reminding parents that it is a sanctioned high school sport. It's not a club. I mean, it's a legitimate sport. It's out there. If you ever go to Texas, I mean, Texas is big in esports as well as football. But I think an offline conversation with HSEL would really help those schools that want to get into esports, are looking at funding for hardware, because again, that's a big investment. I got lucky, and in 2019, Best Buy they were introducing a new computer system with a new graphics card, and luckily were on sale for like $1,200. And I know that sounds steep, but for a gaming system, that was pretty cheap. So I just bought 10 of those, and just bought some inexpensive 27-inch monitors to go with it. But the biggest investment is going to be your CPU, your gaming rig. But there's so many opportunities for different companies. Like Dell is really into esports. If you'd like to be a part of Dell's esport monthly webinar, I mean, you can see me about that as well. If your school is Dell, HP has gotten into it, but all these companies are offering up discounts on hardware, or even, you know, internal grants where hardware, you know, cost is reduced, because they want you to get, you know, it's the razor and razor blade aspect of hardware. They want you to get the gaming PC going, and then they start introducing you to other products on their Dell line, like monitors, stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing that we ran into right now is, honestly, pandemic happened, kids went home, and played a lot of gaming at home. You know, we did our online courses, our due diligence, all that stuff. We did a lot of SEL, building relationships with students over the internet, via their iPad, via Zoom. We kept that going. That was a big push for us. But when we all came back, esports was different. Kids were like, you know, they were getting back into school, but they had played so much at home that it wasn't of interest anymore. We tried, we had maybe 3 weeks of it, and we just started noticing students just not being able to come, not being able to stay after school. So we had a long talk, and we decided to put it on a pause. And we let all the parents know that we're just going to have to put this on pause. You know, we're rebuilding. And so we are reintroducing our new Crosstown High esports program. And again, more towards having a girl squad and a boys squad running in parallel. And I was just talking to HSEL, Dr. Russell, who is a gamer, who has worked with Dr. Chrissy Cutter, and they were both in the same school that developed the curriculum. And you know, he was more in, you know, he was on the other side saying, I think boys and girls should play together. But then our new esports coach at our school, Danny Cowden, she's from Texas, and she's had a lot of experience running esports program. She wanted to do the same thing, run a boys and girls, because as a girl gamer, she never really felt comfortable gaming with boys, simply because it's a different dynamic. And what she was saying was that it's okay to do them separately and then have them combine later on, but we have to build that interest in girls to make it an equitable, comfortable environment for them to jump into the world of esports. But because they'll let you know that it's just not as comfortable being around boys, because it's not that girls are not competitive, it's just that it's a different atmosphere. And so we wanted to recognize and celebrate that equity. I feel VIP or something.
Or they told you your time's up.
Time's up, thank you. But yeah, just kind of nurturing that growth, the females. We had 2 girls that signed up, and I'm trying to work with HSEL to find other ways to lure some of our girls into it. And, you know, honestly, I think if you're struggling with the idea of selling it to your upper level administration, because it is a pain point, especially with everything happening in the world, the only thing they're thinking about is a shooting thing. Well, there are lots of games that don't involve shooting. Okay, I'm just putting that out. And if that's something you want to steer away from, that's fine. But it's available. There's lots of support out there. Like again, HSEL is a great resource. Just looking at it more of a course, and you know, not necessarily esports. You know, maybe even not calling it esports, but you know, rebranding it and you know, making it more, I don't know, more in line with pedagogy, more in line with courses. Esports on their side, they've also built out a working LMS so that the courses that they offer are built inside their own functioning LMS with video tips for students, with nutrition, with mindfulness, with SEL built into it, so it's one-stop shop. Now, I haven't seen their cost breakdown for that LMS, and they do have the option where if you wanted to buy a course and you're using Canvas, that it's an LTI integration or common cartridge where we just buy that course or rent that course and pull it over to your own LMS. But looking at their LMS, I mean, it's nice and robust. I don't see us buying the course and putting it up, ingesting it in our Canvas instance, but maybe just, you know, jumping into that LMS specifically for scholastic gaming and you know, using that as a tool to motivate. But at Crosstown, I don't think we really have a problem with parents not wanting it, because once we mention when we mention scholarship, and they understand that their kids are playing games anyways, let's integrate that into curriculum, let's integrate that into an official school sport, because we do have kids who are not playing a traditional sport, and this is their sport of choice. But we also have students who play traditional sports, but you know, they still want to be a part of esports.
Scott, you think it's just what you said about they did too much at home and they're just kind of burnt out with it or whatever, or do you think it's what y'all are offering? They want the first person shooter stuff,
Right.
and y'all are not doing that? I mean, and are you seeing this in people you talk to? Because you know, you've been doing this longer than any of us. Are you seeing this around the country?
You know, I when talking to HSEL, I don't think we heard back from them whether or not it is something that affected schools. We do Valorant, which is kind of first-person shooterish, but it really is more of strategy, role-play. I mean, yeah, strategy involvement. So we still offer that, but again, we threw out, because we're starting over, we threw out the games that we thought would be the most in line with competitions, and that changes all the time. And there are going to be those students that if you say, you know, we're not doing such and such, we're not doing Call of Duty, you know, we won't do, not Call of Duty, but,
Counter-Strike.
right. We won't do Counter-Strike because it's just too much. But we haven't had any students who said that, no, I don't want to be it. They just want to be part of this team, you know, part of this esports, because that's who they are. They're gamers regardless of the game. They would rather play Counter-Strike, but if you boil it down to, well, we can't do Counter-Strike, but we can do Valorant, we can do Minecraft. Believe it or not, Minecraft is still hot, you know, even though I remember in 2018 talking to students and them picking on one another for playing Minecraft, but yet in our esports, can we do Minecraft? Can we do Minecraft? I'm like, what? You guys were just breaking each other down for playing Minecraft.
Whitney, have y'all started yet?
They
y'all
are
just
talking
getting
about it. We actually have our new technical theater director has been involved with it, so he's gonna work with Jesse and the few girls that are interested.
What about FACS? Are y'all doing it?
We're not.
Do y'all do it at Barcrest? Harding? Do y'all have a team? Everybody else is lower elementary. Yeah. We're starting. I mean, Corey's really got a lot of interest in it. We've got a group looking at it. But, you know, the head's concern to me, we haven't really done a big presentation to him, is, you know, the whole first person shooter stuff. So he's asked us to, you know, find out what other MAI schools are doing. What we talked about, tell them about the rating thing, what we talked
Well,
about.
I mean, so ESRB ratings, you know, like just saying teen and under is what we're gonna be looking at. And that knocks out Counter-Strike, knocks
Yeah,
out Rainbow
all the
Six,
mature stuff.
all the stuff that looks like it. But Valorant, I mean, is teen because it's, I mean, there are guns, but they're, you know, purple laser, you know, and disappearing and not actual, it doesn't look like a AR-15, right? Tactical gear.
Well, SBA is doing it.
No?
And I don't know what the game is, it's cars that play soccer.
That's right. Yeah.
There we go, Rocket League, that's what
Yeah.
they're doing. Because my son does Valorant, but he didn't join the team because he didn't want, doesn't do Rocket League, wherever it is.
Okay. Y'all do anything at BJ?
Yeah, Rocket League is big, Smash Brothers.
Yeah. Well, HSEL doesn't do Smash, right?
You know, they said they don't, but if, you know, if there's schools that are out there that, again, they're still growing, they're still flying that plane and building at the same time, so.
So one of the other big names, PlayBS, alleges to have licensing restriction on all the Nintendo titles. And but one of the leagues that we've been talking to is Vanta, which they've done a big restructure and they're starting up this season. And they don't charge for league admissions, they charge for coaching.
Right.
But when I was talking to their owner on a conference call the other day, he said that he had a whole bunch of lawyers look at that licensing deal and realize that it didn't have teeth. And so they're offering the Nintendo stuff as well. So that's because that's some of the stuff we've gotten some interest in from the guys.
So our problem is picking the games,
Right.
and we don't have a place. I mean, we really don't have a place to house it. We think we might have a solution for that. You know, it's about a $30,000 startup cost when we looked at stuff from Dell. I mean, I don't have an extra $30,000 in my budget, you know. So there's lots of factors there, and we're taking a very slow approach. Cindy, you know, as we saw when we were out there, they jumped knee deep into it at ECS, and I think CBHS does it.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think they do. I don't know. We need to ask Justin about St. Mary's. That's good to hear that y'all are involved, Whitney at Hutchinson. That's good.
I have two suggestions just for like to help with get buy-in. We tried, not an esports thing, but our Bible teacher did a how to game with our virtues. And so he used Fortnite, and then they talked about how to, you know, have your discussions and your collaborations, but to how to game with good manners, I guess, and etiquette. And I thought that was pretty amazing idea to teach these kids, because one of the things that I've watched as my daughter has gained is the rudeness that is very offensive to her. And so maybe having a part of the school's, you know, part could be to help the kids with their, you know, behavior online. And then
Do you think that's why maybe the girls don't want to play in it with the boys?
Well, yeah.
Because that aspect of it.
The trolling, the griefing, the saltiness, those are the terms that you'll learn once you're inside esports. You're like trolling, griefing, you know, but those are the things that, you know, are the Wild West part of.
Right.
And that's what we talk to HSEL for. We can't have students jump into Discord. It doesn't work like that in the K-12 setting. So they're working on the possibility of a safer school K-12 centric Discord. We put that on their roadmap to start looking at, maybe built into their LMS, built into their gaming licensing platform, where you set up rosters and everything like that. Because these companies that are doing this, they're adapting their college and professional stuff and chasing after the money that they smell on the K-12 side.
Right.
And there's lots of money there, untapped. Just like LMSs, they were built for college. Now they started looking at K-12 and saying, that's an untapped market, let's jump into that. But I think that saltiness, that, you know, just yelling at each other, just being rude, you know, we haven't taught our students how to act. And that's part of that curriculum, is how to create a better gamer, you know, basically a human on the mic. You can get excited, you can yell, you can cheer people on, but don't curse, don't, you know.
And then the other part, I attended an online course, Jenny and Holly Lindsay, Carol's daughter, is on my team. They're like
Second
twins.
generation.
Second generation, man, she's just like.
Anybody remember Carol Corden from old SCS?
Yeah.
She was an original CTS,
She
and
was.
that's
then
her daughter. That's a second
daughter,
generation.
Holly is also on my team, and she's
Wow.
fantastic too. So, but anyway, so we have gone through the International Boys School Coalition to do this online course, but it's through this book, and it's such a goober in me, but it's such a good book. It's called The Tech Solution, Creating Healthy Habits for Kids Growing Up in Digital World, and it's by Dr. Shimi Kang. And there is so much really good information in that book that talks about like the neuro aspects and like all the chemical secretion and how developers have created things with purpose to drive more users.
Can you say the author's name again, please?
Dr. Shimi, Shimi Kang, Kang. And it is by far one of, it was so good. And she also talks about parenting too, and she has another book called The Dolphin Parenting, which is a really good one. But that book could give us a lot of good verbiage when we're trying to get buy-in and to try to teach the kids the addictive behavior and the wellness behavior. And so I'm really excited about sharing the knowledge with the kids from that book. But I highly recommend, because it'll give you some powerful information to share with the esports kids too.
And I think even bringing in female gamers, you know, there are a lot of female gamers in the city, but start looking at Grizz Gaming and saying, you know, professionally, do you know of any female gamers that would, you know, be virtually open to coming into a school session and just talking about being a girl gamer?
So I haven't seen an adult gaming or college level e-gaming. Are they polite or are they ruthless?
You know, I haven't been to the college level one. I know we could probably see if Grizz Gaming will let us into one of their practice.
That'd
That'd be a great field trip.
Yeah.
Ask
These
the
are,
Navy.
huh?
Ask the Navy, they have an esports up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
They would do, I don't know if they would do tours or anything, but you might be able to get somebody to come in virtually to your meeting.
But that would also could be a thing to talk to the kids about, like the reality of how, because in physical sports, they can't do the touchdown dance and all that kind of stuff anymore. I mean, we've stopped that in the world. So what behaviors need to be stopped in the esports world?
Do you have a contact at Grizz Gaming?
Mhm.
It'd be interesting to find out if NBA, they have comparable at the WNBA teams. See if there's a, you know, if there's a comparable gaming group kind of associated with a WNBA team.
Right, yeah.
That would be interesting to find out. That's really good. Just curious, are y'all not, you just haven't done it yet? Are you never gonna do it? Have y'all talked about it?
We're focusing more on STEM. We just started a robotics
Okay.
program.
What about it, FAC? I mean,
We talk about it, but we don't have anyone to lead.
see, we've talked about it for 2 years or more. And now we've got some people who are interested in it, but it's like, I mean, what are you gonna play? Where are you gonna put it? How much is it gonna cost? So,
Yeah, we had to move ours from, when you all came out visiting,
Yeah.
we had the first floor.
yeah,
We had to give up the first floor because we're creating a professional development presence for that first floor. So we moved it upstairs to a room, we call it the large seminar room, next to the cafeteria. But it's also a classroom. So what we did was, it's the esports room, it's also the computer science room, part of the STEM collective that we have. So now it's a multi-use room instead of just being the esports room by itself. So in that vein, we're also teaching computer, and it's also part of the esports. So it's almost like we're attracting the same group of kids who want to be programmers, or want to just get into coding, or just want to explore AR, VR, design creation. But they're also, when we do gaming, we have an esports, you think you want to join? So we're hoping that we can work through that classroom atmosphere to attract more of our girl gamers. But yeah, I mean, going back to the game, throw your list of games out, yeah. So what if kids are like, no, I'm not gonna do that, I only play so, that's great. You still have to build a team out.
Right.
And you're gonna get that core group of kids who want to do it.
oh, they're ready now.
They're right.
Yeah.
And then they get great, everybody starts talking about it. The next year, you've got 17 more that want to come in. So I think just build it and say, we're only playing these games for now, because it's almost like you have to re-indoctrinate students into understanding that this is a sport. You can't bring your own football, because this is the only football you'd like to use, to football practice. Use the footballs that are part of the sports program. So it's the same kind of mindset that you have to remind students of. These are the games we play, and the games we're playing is part of the bigger picture of esports. It's not a club. We're not hanging out and playing, Counter-Strike, because you all can do that at home. But here, it's a school-sanctioned, high school-sanctioned sporting event. And just reminding that, but again, you'll have that core group, and that core
Yeah,
group.
they're ready to go now.
Right, and that core group will self-motivate others who are like-minded, or like, okay, I'll do it. It doesn't
That's a
sound
good
so
point.
bad, I'll do it.
I can give you a list of ways that.
Yeah.
So you said with HSEL, they don't have anything currently in place for like the chat and actual interaction feature.
I didn't ask that when we met yesterday, but I started thinking about it. That was, the cool thing about HSEO is when I first met him at FETC, I was like, you guys are great, but you're not great at K-12.
Right.
And they were like, what? And, here I am in the middle of their session saying they're not great at K-12. And so we had a lot of after-conference session dialogue, and I think they started to understand that maybe this nerdy Asian guy kind of is saying something that we need to start looking at. So they created a advisory panel of K-12 folk, and they heard from a lot of people that you guys are really not as organized as you think for K-12. It's a different beast, and we actually have to take care of these kids, So they really started running with that and have been really receptive to and hiring in actual K-12 folk who have been coaches at a school, and now they're development leads, they're education leads for their team. So they really want to build out a robust K-12 centric, and I think that's going to be their big thing. That yes, Play VS exists, all these others will come up, but if you're a K-12 school, these are the things that we're offering for you.
Glenda wants to buy an owl, and she says that the sound quality is perfect.
Awesome.
Right, fantastic.
I want to ask, since we're talking gaming and stuff and teams, are schools, I know PDS is, and I know Lausanne is anybody else participating in FIRST robotics this year?
We're doing something new, or something that I don't know what it
Because
is.
they just came out and they're somewhat organized now, and they're really trying to get schools to sign up and sign in. And I know last year was like nuts, but we've been talking to Kim Bullard at Lausanne, and if FIRST disintegrates again this year or is weird, she'll facilitate another scrimmage. And so we would love, more of us that actually participate, well, if you get it, so.
St. Francis was doing it.
St. Francis is,
Yes.
okay.
I know our kids have done for years the Mississippi Best down at
Okay.
Mississippi State. And like they go down, they visit, and then they have like 6 weeks to build, and then they go back for competition.
Okay.
But they've been doing that for,
Well, the Tennessee one lost the person in charge.
Right.
And then there was a little issues.
So I don't know, I can talk with our robotics teacher in terms of, I'm sure she would want to do something more, local. They did something with, like underwater robots where they had to build and then they went and, it was like, trying to find a swimming pool that they could use because the competition was in the winter.
Yeah.
And I know that was very difficult for them, was trying to find a space where they could practice. That they built the robots, but then to have to practice before they went to competition. So,
That's what we're doing. We did the underwater last year. We had a good time. It was different than robotics land terrestrial based.
What is it called?
It's just underwater robotics.
Right, but the Mississippi State League is called
it's Mississippi Best,
Mississippi.
or MS Best.
I think our robotics team is doing VEX.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we're doing.
VEX.
VEX.
Yeah, y'all do.
So a friend of mine is in the dive club here in town, and she was in the pool
Mhm.
dealing with the stuff underwater and bringing them back up and whatever. And she, as a non-educator, just a dive enthusiast, she had a ball at that and said that the kids had fun. That it was because it was something different than what they're used to doing with
Yeah,
robotics.
yeah.
But she's already volunteered. She said next time they do that, she says call me. She says I'll get back in the pool and do it again. Because they did it at the University of Memphis. Where was it? But she was down, bringing them back up, or if they had trouble, whatever. Because the kids didn't get in the pool.
No.
They just put the robots in and did their thing. So
Yeah,
they had to have
we found out-
somebody in the pool to bring the stuff back up.
We found out real quick that hot glue gun and PVC underwater don't work.
Good science experiment.
If anybody's online that's at a school with esports, if you would send me or to the list or whatever, because our head has asked us to kind of aggregate what the MAIS TEC schools are doing. So if there's anybody online that has an esports team, we would love to connect with you and find out what you're playing, how you do it, all that kind of stuff. So if you'll make yourself known, and Corey, and then we have another guy, Stefan Allman. They'll reach out and hopefully connect with y'all. Thank you for that. That's good, Arthur. That's a great discussion. Thank you, Scott. You have continued to be our leader on this.
I don't know about leader, but more like just other nerdy teachers.
But you did I remember when we were at collegiate, you did like an hour and a half presentation
That
for
was
us
so
there.
Yeah, I can talk a lot.
But it was great.
And the kid that you had present was
Yeah.
outstanding. That blew my
Right.
mind.
That's great. Hey, Arthur, can we jump to the library?
Yeah. So, our next conversation on the roundtable is the reforming of independent school librarians. And I'd like to introduce Ms. Wendy Trenton. She is the director of the library here at MUS, and she can lead our discussion.
Do you want me to go up or just however, I like how casual this is. I'm Wendy Trentham, and I'm starting my second academic year here at MUS. And last year, one of the things I was tasked with upon my hiring was figuring out and sorting out the way out of this consortium called MAIS TEC. and it's done. So MAIS TEC was started in the 90s, and it was very cost effective, and I think there were up to 12 or more schools that shared the same library catalog. Back in the day, it saved so much money, but it became kind of this cumbersome, everybody having to make the agreements together and function in the same way when schools really needed their autonomy, and so it really became a stressor. So, stressor's gone. Let's re-network our librarians without obligations, and that's the goal. And so, and I don't know if I'm like kind of jumping over some things, but basically, I'm new. I have worked in K-12 before, but I spent the last 10 years at Rhodes, but before that I was in a preschool through 8th grade library, and wasn't in touch with a lot of other librarians. I'm very interested in just the networking for professional and also for problem solving, because we are solving problems on the fly as librarians, meaning problems of serving our students and teachers with the needs that they have post-COVID and what that looks like. So, and I already know, like Scott, Liz and I, we've met together about Liz Phillips at Crosstown, about deciding on lighter, leaner library catalog systems and other systems and things like that. So there's, of course, there's national bulletin boards and stuff, but we just really want to do idea sharing, knowledge sharing. Don't invent the wheel. I know I've been a librarian, reinvent the wheel. I've been a librarian by myself before many places, and it feels very isolating. So, John and I did a quick, well, hopefully it feels quick to you, Microsoft form that really is just getting our contact list built. Like who works in your library, what is their role, how many people are there, so that the very first step would just be contacting people and saying, do you want to meet either in conjunction with MAIS TEC or on their own. We don't have a name for it, but I think it would live kind of under this umbrella.
Is there anything to do with, we need Jane here, like is there, I know they had to go, the founding mothers had to go to Nashville to like get MAIS TEC started. Do they have to go, like, I don't know if they have to be that formal.
The executive director's walking around this building right now. Somebody ready to get the TIF? I don't think so. I
wouldn't think so. I mean,
I think they just started it on their own.
Yeah.
It just kind of became a sub-organization.
Yeah, they got sanctioned, I think, by the heads.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that you have to do anything officially.
And I
The
think
librarians met for years, I know.
yes,
They did have a side group, but I think it'd be great to be part of this group too.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many.
There's over avenue.
We have, Wendy's still, within her second year, you're new. We know St. Mary's has got new people, Lausanne's got new. Y'all got anyone? I mean, so look how many new people there are who would love to connect. And I'm sure, like we do with this group, you and Wanda, if you're public school people, I'm sure, because it's just a great idea just to meet and talk, exchange ideas.
If it's difficult to leave, your school, we can do it over Zoom. I think the first step is just to compile a contact list and get interest, and see, because I know in dissolving MAIS TEC, it was St. Mary's, MUS, and Lausanne were the last three that were continuing to pay the thousands of dollars in together for our library catalog that we let go. It feels so liberating. Anyway, we communicated a lot about what we were going to do moving forward, and we were like, why are there only three of us talking? And I know, like, Hutchison had a librarian leave. I don't know who the new person is. We had a lot of questions.
St. George's has a library.
Lausanne's had some change in their staffing, and so, we may even want to reach out to schools that have fledgling libraries or even some kind of like volunteer or teacher run situation, because we all have something called TEL, Tennessee Electronic Library, which provides our databases, and so that at least lets people have something, even if it's just a virtual library, which hopefully they have more than that. But anyway, I'm here just to say hello, and it's great to meet everybody, and then to say that I'm willing to help compile this. I don't necessarily need to lead it, but I just think we need to communicate.
Could we start the mailing list off of in our Gmail or our Google thing and make like a sub-group just to help get them? I mean, they'll probably end up building their own stuff, but if we wanted to start manning that mailing
I would
list.
just need to know the names to put on it.
Be great.
That's a great idea. At our school, when I first came to St. Francis, they hired me to help redo the library, which I have no library. But I did it and it looks really nice, but then a friend, she ended up becoming our librarian and she had worked in libraries before. She knew what to do with the book side. I just make it pretty, but that, she would love that.
Right.
Maybe, we'll all have, the degree, but to have that support with one another would be amazing.
Right, it's not an exclusive club by any means, because the library is an auxiliary space that serves the students and faculty. It should be aligned with the curriculum, and you've heard me say all this stuff before. We're working on that here. Our library is almost overwhelming in size and volume. You're welcome to stop out and see it.
Yeah, you might be the last time you see it.
Yeah, we see it.
Yes, and it's almost overwhelming, and it's not really meeting the needs of middle school the way it should, and all that stuff. So we always have work to do. We're always constantly changing because, really post-COVID, we're doing different things and meeting different needs, and technology and resources, like finding resources, that's all merging.
So do we want to reach out to the municipal schools too and send something? And do you want to send something like send an email, like an introduction and with the form, and then we can pass it on to our schools and our other connections?
What if we get it to Wanda, and maybe Wanda knows how to get it to
How to
them?
get it.
That'd be great.
Wanda Terrell's over at
Even just the
she's the
form.
most wonderful person.
Well, I will say too that we are a different stripe and a different breed in independent schools than school, and not to be exclusive or anything like that. I really want to meet other private school librarians to see kind of how they function and are structured, because I know in public schools it's a little different.
Yes.
But I'm totally fine with talking with all those people. But I think for problem solving, I think independent private schools, that's who I want to talk to. It's not that I don't want to talk to them. My mother worked at Lakeland until she retired. So when Dottie Lyles was there,
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody
Yeah.
invoke the queen of library, school libraries.
So our librarian, the reason why I made the statement I made is, once again, playing off on what Mr. Sanders said, and part of our strategic plan is the capital campaign, and the first part of the capital campaign is to tear the library down to start building new buildings. We don't know when that's going to occur, but Wendy's facility is in the way, and it's going to have to be torn down to build the first building that we want to build in our plan. So it's a 70s weird design that doesn't even play well on our architecture of our campus. So everybody's happy to see it go. But you might want to go, as we walk around, you can go and take a look in there, because it may be gone in a year. So.
And Wendy, I just wanted to say thank you so much for helping us out, seriously.
No problem. I'm by far not the expert, but I've worked in college libraries. We know where students are heading when they leave here, and what we need to do to kind of calibrate to that to serve them all.
But most
students
importantly,
well.
you were that buoy
Yeah.
that Liz needed, because, it's been a while since she's been a librarian.
Right.
And jumping into this and letting go of Bullet and going to Koha was a big jump for us, so.
Yeah.
Did y'all do Koha too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we switched to from
What is
our.
called?
Koha is the catalog that we.
It's open source, but we pay this outside company called Bywater to run it for us. But they're smaller and hear your needs, and they were
Right.
super communicative. This is probably not the forum to talk about the pros and cons of everything, but Follett has saturated the market, but we could debate their usefulness.
But she's doing a session at TAIS Biennial at Baylor, and I put that on the calendar. So she and Zach, our second librarian, they're going to do a session at the Biennial Conference in Chattanooga on how you restructure, reorganize, and
Yes,
redo a library, which I think is helpful to people.
yes.
Thank you,
We're gonna talk
Wendy.
about all that stuff. Thank you. It's really good
And
to see
she
your
has
faces.
worked in elementary, you can tell stories, so she's done K through college
Yeah.
libraries.
Yeah, I did public school, story time, all the things.
Also, Wendy, would you please send us the link to the form so
Yeah.
we can put it in the minutes?
Do you have it?
I may or may not.
I can just send it to you?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, I'll do it, I'll do it.
There's an email just came through asking it.
Yeah, somebody asked if we were looking at,
I don't know, are they?
several people posted, and so Sarah Casey did.
Okay, so Sarah's on St. Agnes.
Yeah, Sarah agreed that only independent schools are private schools.
Sounds good. I was just throwing it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe one of those things, like, we remember how we started? I just came and didn't say a word for my first 2 years when I came to MAIS TEC. Just observed and listened and spoke when I was spoken to. That's what I did. That was my choice. But look where it got me. I'm now 8 years and working in independent school, so.
Make your connections.
That's right. Worked my
He is
sources.
the connection.
Thank you, Wendy, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. And Sarah online is very interested, so, hi, Sarah.
So it's Jenny.
And Jen, over there.
I know ours
Fantastic.
will be too.
I think most will, because I think they've been, it's been years since they met. The
Well, we all
consortium
met.
only went for, it was just us, St. Mary's and Lausanne, for the last
Yeah.
probably 8 years or more. Sarah dropped out, I don't know when, Sarah, several years ago, St. Agnes dropped out, so it's just been 3 schools. And I don't ever remember, I've been here 8 years, I don't ever remember Bonnie, the previous librarian, saying that MAIS Lick group had met.
Well,
So
John
it's
and
been
I were
forever.
talking yesterday, and they even had a MAIS group for the
Communications.
communications. And
Yeah.
we're the only group that survived when they.
Yeah.
Sarah said it's been 5 years.
Who did?
Okay,
Whitney, who?
Admissions.
Oh, admission, yeah.
they had a group too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were too competitive.
That really wasn't a good.
Communications was too competitive also.
Yeah, I think they,
Hearing each other's little tricks.
Yes.
All right, well, we got last conversation, multi-factor authentication. We have several schools that have said that they're interested in this topic. St. George's recently did a multi-factor authentication initiative, and they couldn't be here today, but the roundtable is open to anyone.
So PDS we have started the MFA in the fact where I've asked the teachers to do it. We haven't pulled the trigger to make it mandatory. We need to do that now. It really wasn't bad, and when we talked about this in the spring, I think Scott Young talked about it too. You can't do anything with cybersecurity until you actually get that one started, MFA, yeah.
well,
And
somebody at the bank, I mean, we have.
everybody's doing MFA,
Yeah.
so it's
They are.
not rocket science.
Yeah, we switched to it early last year.
Yeah. Did you all, we control everybody's passwords, which is bad practice, because I have it written down of everybody's passwords, right? You know? Because that's how we did it. Come on, John. It's on paper, right?
It's under your keyboard.
I wrote it on Sharpie on my computer, so I wouldn't forget them. But we're about to also have the teachers change and create their own safe passwords or whatever, and then release the technology department of doing that. Power School took our ability to manage passwords. Accelerated Reader did it, so it's easy. You just have to explain, and if anybody wants, I've made a keynote of that you can lecture through your people and try to scare the dickens out of them, so I can throw that up there.
That would be great.
Yeah, and you can change it up. But can you open a keynote on your PC?
No.
You can shoot it to Google Drive. Did you? Those jabs.
So,
So there was also, I finally answered a phone call from a guy who was bothering me. So, but he actually was really helpful. There is this free software called Coro. Has anybody heard of Coro before? C-O-R-O, and it's I do recommend you looking it up, but it's a layer of security, and it's free. You just tie it to your system and it monitors without having to do anything. I mean, like the guy had me turn it on within like 2 seconds. It was so super easy. And they're a small company and they want to do their due diligence about getting some kind of protection level for the schools that don't have like the budgets and the means to be able to spend all this. There's not the phishing that kind of training module that like Know4 has, but it's something that if you're trying to get your insurance that you could have this going. And it was really cool because I turned it on yesterday, and like I lost my phone. Hold on. You have like it runs this dashboard, and so I got an email an email from the site that said I had 4 compromised emails that they dealt with. So the company said, like, in the middle of the night, if you're getting spam mail, they're still watching it. They're going to go ahead and take it out of the user's box so that it's not sitting there, and so we just don't have to worry about it. I know how to get my iPad online, but just give me a second first. No, it should be on there. Okay, let's see if it, because it was like funny emails that we got. So this is what it says: all-in-one cyber protection. There's more to it. When you set it up, you get like this little itty bitty dashboard, but it gives me an email that said I had one email that I needed to go look at, and I just opened it up, and then it sees who the senders are. It's sending people who don't even work at my school anymore, so that's definite spam. But if you get green check marks, they've already processed 4,962 emails since I turned it on yesterday. They've had 4 phishing emails that they went ahead and noted. And this is a free part to it. So I just think that was really admirable.
Okay, make sure she adds that to the.
COR.
I'm typing it, it's delayed. I'm on my hotspot. It's
Okay.
delayed. I got it.
So this is all part of the MFA, getting all these, bells and whistles. And he said when you do go for your insurance, that having this will greatly discount your cost.
Kind of like the SIG driving.
Do you know what the premium service offers?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But he would love to talk to you. And they're
Yeah.
very nice. They're very nice people.
That's good.
And is anybody investigating Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator?
We use
For
Google
MFA?
Authenticator.
So do your staff have to have the app open to enter the code?
So
in order
it
to
depends
log
on
in?
how the staff set it up. So if they wanted to use that, otherwise it just says to allow in, open your Gmail. And you open your Gmail app and it pops up and you say, yep, that's me. So, it's super, super easy, and just like
Y'all
y'all
are a
said,
Gmail school, right?
we are a Gmail school.
Authenticator, we do it with Microsoft and it's fine. We
With
have it on
Microsoft.
some people now.
So who does multi-factor? Okay, 1, 2, y'all do it? Y'all do it?
On the
Y'all do
website, we do
it?
it.
Y'all do it?
85%.
Y'all do it?
Not yet, we're getting there.
Yeah. I just renewed our cyber insurance, and of course, that's a question they ask. And I went to some sessions at the Tita Summer Institute this year, and a lot of these public schools, they're saying that they will not even touch their renewal unless they say they use multi-factor. So I submitted ours, and I checked no. For now, we're investigating it. We have some multi-factor on some of our admin pieces, but not for general use. Do y'all do it for students?
We don't do it for
We
children.
don't do it
Just
for
adults?
students.
And
Just
it's
adults.
really just with the Hutchinson website, it's not.
But they did recommend doing it for the high school students. Atlas has a really good cybersecurity, I think it's a webinar.
It's coming up soon, I think.
I recommended, I did it I can't tell you if it was last spring or 2 springs ago, because days just go together, but I do recommend, they have lots of good information. I've got my notes that I can digitize and put
That
it
would
up
be
there.
great.
I
Add it
can
to
add
it.
that too.
Maybe that's a session for next time.
Yeah,
Security.
I think that'll be great.
I think the biggest thing for me for turning on MFA was being so afraid of faculty pushback, and I didn't have that. I mean, we do it anyway.
It's kind of in line with the
Part of life.
conversation we had, John, that you said everyone's used to multi-factor authentication now because they do it with their banks.
Doctors' offices.
USAA.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
much requires it now. I think people are just used to it.
That's it.
Okay, that's a good point, Scott. That might be just the whole meeting on cybersecurity next time, maybe. That might be a great topic.
Because it's interesting, all these phishing emails look really, really good, especially the ones we get that's from the district or Microsoft. They really look good, you know. It's
Does
getting
anybody
harder.
use Know Before
Yes.
with your teachers?
Here, yes.
Y'all do it?
Yes. And it was bad in the beginning. It was bad.
So we just,
What
Clicking and
version did
opening
you
and typing and at their, everything in there.
we just upped our Microsoft licensing to A5, and they have a Know Before like service that's part of it. Well, you pay through the nose for A5 though. So, and Arthur, I think, has tested it with a couple people in our office, but I've told the teachers to be expecting that we're gonna roll that out at some point this year
We
too.
use
And
Moncast.
which
We use the
one?
stuff in Moncast. And we started out with like 80-something% of the teachers clicking on the things they shouldn't be clicking on. And now we're down to 4%.
What was
Yes,
yours, Vicki?
Same. Ours was about that same. And really, now, no one opens anything. They're like, everyone just deletes it, or their email is to me, is this real? Is this real? Is this real? So they're just like scared to death now, because they don't wanna have to force
80%
training
is a
again.
lot.
45 minutes.
Well, and when the Know Before will let you do it for free, just to get, like, so if you're talking to your head and you need to have some financial, get financial backing, you can run the phishing thing to get your data, and you can show justify the cost of it. But, I had admins that were yelling at me because they clicked the link, and I was like, you did click, and they were like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, and then they want you to release them without doing the training? Yes.
You just hear it,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So it puts them in jail until they do the job.
You have to
It
get
just keeps pestering.
Well, the
Yeah,
training
you
is
do
so
it.
short, like
It's so
Moncast, it's
short.
like 3 minutes if that. I mean, they're very short videos that you watch that give you information about what to do and what not to do.
Well, when we looked at this a couple of years ago, we didn't go for it because our head thought it had a punitive feel. And so we're trying, when we're going through this MFA and stuff, I'm really trying to send it out as like, we have to own and step up to understanding security. We're not trying to punish you, we're trying to keep you safe. And I mean, we just had Seesaw. Did y'all watch that? That was fun. Didn't hit us, but Hutchinson.
We already had
Yeah, y'all
messages.
did.
Closed.
The kicker is what it was, there was only one class.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was because we had parent messaging turned on for that. I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't know you turned that off.
Yeah.
And this teacher had been using that, so.
I had a dad at Parent Back to School Day Wednesday asked me about that because his daughter goes there and his son goes here, and he goes, I don't use Seesaw, do you? And I said, oh no, but I know all about them. If you're on the Atlas listserv, there were
they're
1,000 emails about it.
Thank
Now they're
goodness.
thanking
It
you.
Yes,
was like,
those East Coast people experienced it way before us.
it was funny how they tried to explain,
Yeah.
the parent, but I'm
Again, if you're not on that Atlas
like,
listserv,
God.
you should be. It is so good.
Right.
What they talk about and what they ask and how people answer and give solutions. It's really, really one of my best resources that I rely on.
IT and curricular, support.
Yeah, it's very good.
Well, fantastic.
I did have.
Round
one question.
table is open.
you. Okay, I do have a question. Those of you using Seesaw, we've had an issue this year for the first time ever. It's just logging our students out of their accounts. And it's like the whole class. They'll come back to use it the next day and everyone has been logged out of their account. And so they have to go back with all the QR codes and do that. And it's happening class after class after class.
I know that Dreambox does that on the iPads, but I don't think Seesaw's kicked us out yet, but now I'm sad. So I don't wanna go to school. if
Well,
that's-
I just put in a ticket with them this morning about it. The computer teacher has complained about it almost every day this
So
past
it's-
week.
So
It's been happening
before.
for about a week and a half.
They got some, if somebody's, ooh, Seesaw better.
Seesaw busy
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
and I thought, well, the kids are just clicking, but you know, a kindergartner's not gonna know where to go to log out of Seesaw because it's
Right.
not super easy to find. And so.
But how is she ending the class? Do you think she's ending the class with them accidentally clicking or turning something on?
No,
or-
they just submit it and then they close the app on it. Okay, well, I was just gonna check and see.
What about like, is this a public computer? Like, does it?
These are all iPads where only that student uses the iPad, because we're one-to-one iPad from kindergarten up.
So I wonder if there's, I don't, you know, just on one of those, like a little box that they have to check. or
Well, you would
something
think if it was only a few students in the class, but it's
Yeah.
like the whole
No, and
class.
I mean,
Is other, or other
because the
schools?
Seesaw app it's a whole lot more difficult on the app to sign out than it is like
Yeah.
on a computer.
Yeah,
It's,
Okay.
and to like switch between kids, because that was our biggest complaint when we were using Seesaw, is that we had multiple families with younger kids and trying to sign them in and out if they were sharing the same device, because it is very difficult.
it is.
On the computer, it's very easy. You click your name, you click sign out, and you're done. On the app, it's much more harder to find. So I wouldn't say that little ones were going and signing
Yeah.
themselves
It's
out.
an app, download the app.
Well, I was gonna
Or
try to
app
do an update and see if an update worked. So, okay, thank you.
Back real quick to the library thing. Please encourage if you have a relationship that you can go talk to your head, encourage your heads to you know, make sure they bring it up to each other as well. Because I think if they push it as well, saying, hey, you know, get your, you know, go down and talk to the librarian and say, you know, this is a new group that's forming or whatever. I think that would carry some weight too, if we can all get our heads involved with getting our librarians to you know, join and sign up for this group. Arthur, you passed the conferences there. I added a bunch. I know sometimes Wanda does that as well. I added TTC is in Murfreesboro again. I added the TAIS Tech Conference, the TIS Biennial. Those are linked, and then ISTE and Atlas also. And you know, if you want to go to the bustling metropolis of Grand Rapids, Michigan, you can go to the Atlas Conference this year. Arthur and I are choosing to wait till 2024 for that one.
Yes, sir.
What Grand Rapids, Michigan ever did to you?
I don't know. I don't want to go to Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Where is it the next year?
I don't know. They won't know.
It has to be better than.
Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Punk's gonna go see Phil.
Okay, so before we adjourn the meeting, I'd like to say a special thank you. We had to pivot and meet at MUS this week because of the tragedies that happened at St. Mary's. And this required a lot of agility in putting this meeting together. And I'd like to recognize John for being flexible and hosting us. This is my school, but this is really
I
John's.
bought the breakfast.
So
Somebody's gotta
thank
pay
you.
bills.
Thank
That's
you,
right,
John.
we appreciate you.
And I'd like
All
to.
for the cause, Arthur. All for the cause.
Fantastic. So I'd like to put in a motion to adjourn the meeting. Would anybody like
I'll
to?
motion.
Okay, Lynn, motion, and someone second? Miss Vicky Torres seconds, and meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for.
Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you, Arthur, and all of y'all.
And if you want a quick tour, we'll be glad to walk around. Keep in mind, we are in the middle of, so chapel's over, the college thing's probably over. The next period doesn't start till 10:40, so it may be, you know, the Wild Wild West, as Scott called it, in the hallways and everything, but, you know, hey, they're just teenage boys, we're all adults, we can deal. If you wanna leave your stuff here, that's fine, we can come back here, because you're parked here. It's good to meet the new folks. Listen, use the listserv, you know, we're a group at maistech.org, we are active, and we're just as good as the Atlas one, except Atlas is just bigger. But if you've got a question or a problem, put it out there. I mean, hey, everybody out there in TB land. ATLIS. Vicky, do you guys have any more?
So what you gonna do for your birthday?
Cases.
I have so many.
The seniors. sold them.
Well, actually, I haven't been called in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, got it. Yeah, let me know.
But he's,
So, yeah, so we're looking.
Where is that?
Yeah.
No, I mean, you gotta see.